Thank you for watching the program. So on this segment of the program, I will be discussing there's a recent development from Lagos State government as they plan to build a digital rental platform for monthly rent payment. So to discuss this issue with me, I have a guest joining us virtually, and his name is Dr. Larry Mohammed. So he is the founder of the Prosperity Education series, and he has joined us via Zoom. He founded the Prosperity Education series, his premier education and information program, to provide the knowledge and expertise into workable solutions for everyday life. So thank you for joining us on Market Insights, Dr. Larry Mohammed.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, it's great to have you on the program this morning. Okay, so yes, the Lagos State government recently they're about to create a digital platform for people to pay monthly rent payments now. Okay, now first up, what do you think are the standout technological features of the new digital rental platform? Let's just start with that first.
Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me on the show. So Nigeria has been at the forefront of the digital revolution. First of all, I want to mention and say that, which is outstanding, both in using the digital finance side, but the digital finance and blockchain aspect of the digital revolution, we have to keep in mind is the natural evolution of the internet. So this is the next phase of the internet, where now we enter a phase where money and information and data can interact and move. Particularly money now can move like information has been moving, or like email has been moving. So it's a natural evolution that governments and institutions will begin to use digital platforms to handle money. When we started using the internet in the late 90s for e-commerce, that was a big revolution. But it was very slow and jinky. It was not very efficient trying to use PayPal and collect information. So now, with the advent of blockchain and being able to move information and data at lightning speeds, now governments and organizations and people are now beginning to move money the same way. And so it's just a natural evolution that governments are going to start to do what Lagos, the state there is doing, if that makes sense.
Yes, and we all welcome this new technology into our country. Okay, so now, how do you think this new digital payment will make paying rents more smoother and more efficient? The reason I'm asking this is because, the internet, we've seen issues of fraud and this people getting scammed on the internet. So how can we ensure that this issue of paying rent is more effective without people falling prey to scammers online?
Well, that is going to be up to the government there locally and regionally to ensure the safety of the residents. Because on one side, it's a great idea because it can streamline collection of revenue. It can streamline, and it can be used to, as I read in the article, it can be used also to prevent fraud. It can be used to protect residents from fraud. But it goes both ways, because on the government side, the people have to be ensured that there are security measures taken to protect the citizens' information. their private information, their identity and their the money that they're moving. So on both sides, it can be pros and cons, but I think it is good if it's being used to help monitor for residents being overcharged. Um, you can easily see in a system like that if someone is charging 3 times what the normal rent is in that particular area, or if they're abusing their ability to pay rent, let's say in an area where there's limited housing, then that is something that can benefit the people. But there has to be security measures in place, both technologically and financially, to protect the data and the privacy of the citizens.
This initiative, yes, when it's put together, it's still they're still building this app, this website for people to be able to do this. We'll be able to protect people in especially their online data once it's being used. Okay, so now can you just walk us through the kind of software and hardware involved to handle such large volume of transactions?
That's actually where it gets really interesting. Personally, I'm as you mentioned on the education side of it, but I when I was attending the university in the '90s, the early '90s, the particular university where I attended was basically the pioneer for creating browsers, okay, that we use for the internet today. I was at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana in the state of Illinois in the U.S. And Mark Andreessen was a student there, and he and the team developed Mosaic, which became Netscape, which was the first browser, which allowed for us to get on the internet and surf the internet. And the reason why I'm giving this history is because we have to understand that that group of people and Mark Andreessen, they made a comment once in the '90s, and they said one day that software would eat the world. So everything is ran by software. And so we have to, when you have countries and governments getting involved with this technology, they really have to understand what they're getting involved with. They have to have the right people who have the right tech know-how, because just as the government might set up a system to protect citizens, the government has to be protected as well. Because they might develop a system that they don't understand and they don't control, and they can be manipulated just like a citizen can be manipulated with collecting rent. So these software systems are evolving to where now a lot of them are moving on to blockchains, and eventually all of them will be on blockchain. And so right now, the digital systems that most people are using are software that's basically just collecting data. And the danger with that is it's housed on servers, which can be manipulated, can be stolen, etc. The technology that's evolving into the digital future will be on blockchains, where citizens can monitor their information. Obviously, governments and organizations can monitor their information and the activity. The blockchain, you'll be able to see information flowing, and so and the personal information will be private and protected by those digital keys that we've heard about. So there's not just digital keys for money, like having your own key for your Bitcoin, but there also will be digital protections and the ability to protect information. So on the government side, the government has to have a team that understands how to protect that information. I know I've said it before, but that really is what it comes down to. Because right now you see around the world where governments are being, their systems are being hijacked and held for ransom. So you don't want that type of situation happening. So they need to have in place people who understand the software and that they can really control their own software or even build their own software, code and build their own software. So that's really what I generally push for people to understand the infrastructure and architecture, where they're not just using some system and then they look up one day and they've lost control of it.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Larry, yes, you've stated how blockchain is the future, how people will be using this, not just your usual websites for business transactions to make payments. For example, in this instance of the digital rental payments now. Okay, but in Lagos here, the use of blockchain for this kind of digital technology has not yet fully started, and we know how we haven't really gone into advanced use of blockchain, particularly using with the government and the people. We haven't really started doing that, just private individuals using this blockchain technology now. So that being said, now you mentioned the benefits, but can the blockchain effectively, not just for payments alone, now for storing data now, can it effectively protect online users when they access, if they want to pay their rents, and they access this blockchain data to pay their rent, to put in their data, to also ensure that, now this is for the users, then the government also monitor that the landlords are not charging very high rents to the people renting also.
Yeah, well, see, that's the whole challenge. The technology is so new that there are, of course, you have different blockchains with different purposes, but as they develop blockchains that can collect money, house data, protect that information, they're also developing blockchains and pushing around the world, pushing the idea of individuals controlling their own data. In other words, that there has to be a way where the individual is not just going on to the system. Like, this is generally how it happens. The citizen or the user goes on and they make their payment and their transaction, and their personal data, their credit card, and all of these things are basically captured. So you see a company like Amazon. When Amazon started, they were selling books online in 1994, 95. I personally and a colleague, we actually had an online bookstore started around the same time. But this was when less than 1% of the global population was using computers. So now, with the entire world connected, we lose our personal data and information every day. Every day, this information is being captured by cyber attacks. And so, so I stress the point that a system like this is a great idea, but it has to, if they're going to use the modern technology, they need to really use modern technology and not just have it as a face that appears to be digital, appears to be streamlined, but it's the same old system that is being victims of cyber attacks every day. You know, they have to do the research and use the systems that are being developed where the citizens' personal data can be protected, and they can access the citizen in the best of these worlds, using the best technology. The user should have control over their data and what information is shared. Okay, and I don't know the infrastructure and architecture of the system that's being used there for this platform, but that should be the concern. The users and whatever groups are being set up to monitor this development and to protect the citizens, they have to engage with people like myself and other tech software developers and coders to really understand if the government is actually using the new systems that are being developed, particularly blockchain systems that can protect both sides of the transaction.
Okay, yes, thank you for that, Dr. Larry. Okay, we know that cybersecurity is going to be very key to achieve this, and since it's the government creating this digital payments platform, cybersecurity, like you said, has to be number one on their list, protecting both their own data and also the people accessing this data, also protecting them too. Now the use of blockchain. Now, how can we use blockchain, since you stated its benefits, to secure user data information and ensure that this digital platform is safe from fraud and breaches?
How they can use that to make it safe? Okay. Well, the beauty of blockchains is that it's safer. So remember, going back to the concept of the traditional internet, you had this information flowing from one computer to the next, but it's being housed on servers. And generally, those servers, for example, everyone uses WhatsApp, and I know there's an issue, there with WhatsApp and what's happening. Everyone uses Facebook. Everyone uses Twitter, and we've always used these, but most people are not aware that all of this information again is being housed in servers. And you can go downtown Chicago, and there's this big building downtown that has servers for Facebook and Google and all of these entities, where all of your information is housed there. Okay, that is what's not safe. And so blockchain, if you can think of this, you move from information and data being stored on servers where it can be stolen by cyber attacks to where now the information is distributed amongst computers on the chain throughout the world. And so now that information can be better protected. And theoretically, if it's the right blockchain and the right technology being used, the person who controls their own data can protect that data, and they can monitor that data, and they can only release that data when they themselves give permission. That's the best of both worlds. That's the ideal use of the technology. And so because the whole issue around the world today is cyber attacks, and it's just as big of a tool to be used in warfare as traditional means of warfare that we see. So the blockchain and the information and software that's being used again by the government to collect this rent, this could be this can protect people again, or it can be used to cipher off money, and it can be used for for taxation. And these are the concerns that people have for the technology if they're being used improperly. Now we have another form of taxing and pulling money from people when we're supposed to be using it for helping them to streamline payments and monitor fraud and abuse.
Okay, well, we've seen all these things that you've said, and for now it's still theory actually. So we don't really know. It's when we see the digital payments platform functioning very well, then we can now see, okay, it's working well and it's no longer theory. Okay, but the Lagos state government decided to create this digital payments platform. In about 4 to 6 months, it will be fully operational, and the purpose is to streamline transactions and boost revenue for Lagos State now. So this technology-driven solution is part of what we call the Eco Revenue Plus Summit goals, and it aims to manage over 100,000 rental payments monthly to address the challenges in the city of Lagos with rent payments. So now that being said, okay, now so this platform, we are actually looking at, let's talk about the major challenges that can actually come up when putting all the systems to work together seamlessly. So, and the major challenges and then solutions to these challenges that can arise from this kind of technology.
Yeah. So, again, the system, first of all, hopefully they have some mechanism in place, because we're talking about the state of Lagos, right? So there has to be in place citizen involvement, and the citizen involvement should involve tech people who understand software and software development and who understand cybersecurity. There should be some mechanism in place, some oversight group, where if you're going to roll a system out like this in 4 to 6 months, hopefully there are pilots taking place where the system can be used, and where citizens and cybersecurity experts and developers, software developers, they can ensure that there are no holes in the system. Because again, it sounds wonderful to use technology, and it can benefit government. It can benefit government, but again, that's another form of. I know it gets into other conversations, but that's another form of taxation. Governments collecting money, and so hopefully there's just citizen involvement where they're getting input from the citizens, and they're not putting something in place that makes it harder, that makes it worse than what the problem may already be in terms of collecting rent and the fraud that takes place from management and landlords and that type of thing. I would say the most important part of that, to have the citizen and public engagement and public involvement and public education in terms of what they're doing, what systems they're using in terms of the software development and architecture, and how they're going to protect the end user.
Okay, yes, thank you for that, Dr. Larry. Okay, so I'm now looking ahead, the future of this kind of tech. Okay, so how do you think this will further improve the experience? That's for the people paying rent, and also what kind of, what would they need to do to adapt to future needs of using this technology?
Well, the future of the use of technology, especially particularly blockchain, the whole general idea that's going on with this is to digitize everything and tokenize everything. So everything, we have to remember, everything of value in the world in the near future is going to be tokenized, meaning that every building, every car, all of these things will be represented on a digital platform, on a blockchain, represented by a private key. It'll be turned into a token. And so not only will the rental and mortgage payments be collected on these platforms, the ownership will be on these platforms. Who owns them? The percentage. There are already platforms. There's a platform, being used by many in the U.S. and around the world and in Europe, and I'm sure some in Africa may be using it, that allows people to invest in property using a blockchain. And so now ownership can be fractionalized and monitored using the blockchain. So the future of everything is digitization and tokenization. And so as opposed to being afraid of that and trying to resist being a part of it, we have to be educated on it and understand it, because it's already moving in that direction, especially when you see the big banks and the central banks are moving into that. Then you know that in the future, everything will be on blockchains and moving through wallets. And so, again, there's pros and cons to everything, but knowing that it's going in that direction, then, the people have to be properly educated, which of course is not happening. For the most part, it's not, from what I see. Even in the United States, it's not much education going on at all to help people understand the privacy issues, how this information will move and how it will be stored, etc.
Okay, yes, thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Insights, Dr. Larry Mohammed, as we discussed the impact of the new digital rental platform that the Lagos State government will be hosting, and it will be fully operational in 4 to 6 months. Thank you for joining us live from Chicago, United States of America. It was great to have you on Market Insights this morning.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to continuing to see the development and the innovation that's happening in Africa and Nigeria and Kenya and other areas. It's very inspiring, and I think it's a good thing. And we just need to stay at the forefront of it, educate our people properly, and maintain control of our information and our money.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Larry Mohammed. Now let's look at the official rates this morning and the parallel market rates this morning, how the Naira is selling against the dollars, the pound sterling, and the euro. So the official CBN rates for the dollars for this morning, it's at the CBN rate, the dollar is currently selling at 1,527 Naira to $1. At the parallel market rate, it's selling for 1,607 Naira to $1. Now for the pound sterling, at the CBN rate, it's selling for 1,969 Naira to £1 For the parallel market, it's selling for 2,025 Naira to £1. And for the euro, at the CBN rate, it's selling for 1,701 Naira to €1. The parallel market rate is 1,756 Naira to €1. So those are our money market figures this morning. Many thanks for joining us this morning on the program Market Insights as we discuss the digital rental payment that the Lagos State government is hosting, and it will be fully operational in about 4 to 6 months, and the benefits of this, as my guest also mentioned, it's important to use the blockchain technology to ensure that this technology works seamlessly. I also want to thank my guest, Dr. Idahosa Osamanze, for joining us to discuss the global financial crisis. And like he said, the market is all about speculation. Some days it's positive, some days it's negative. But we hope this doesn't lead to something more serious and the market can just readjust itself in the long run. Many thanks for watching the program this morning. I am your host, Lavina Emma. Do stay tuned to the news update on Souk News Television.